Today we are going to talk about project management. So we are going to build a tool for following projects with milestones. We are going to show you how to do this with two different methods, a simple one and one with weights. And the idea here is to show the logic, the structure, and also one example of the app that you can build using the no-code tools that we offer at Gesture. So basically, the main idea is to create this Project Canva and Project Hub and all the structure behind it. Right, Fernando?
Exactly. So the idea behind this template is to have a structure in which you have like a main project. So if you want to, as is on the screen, assemble a new compliance team, if you have to launch a new website or something like that, you can um, you can manage this through a Kanban board. But you also have milestones. So if you look at the project hub, you can see that when I select a specific project, it's going to bring the information regarding that project, but I also have milestones, which are kind of like, you can think of it as things that you have to do uh, to complete the project. So if you do a specific thing, you know that you already like completed 30% of a project or something like that. So the idea is to have the structure, and like you said before, we're going to do this in a simple manner, which is basically a milestone is like if you have 10 milestones, each milestone is like 10% of the project. But we're also going to have weighted milestones. So you may have one milestone that's like 50% of the project. They are much more important than the other milestones. So you can do both. Maybe you don't see the need for weighted, or maybe you need weighted on just some specific projects. So we're going to contemplate this on this template. So just talking about structure, the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is the table for the projects. So you have title, which is the default field for any table. We're going to skip that for now. So progress, milestones, and current, I'm going to skip them for now. I'm going to talk about them later. So you have a cover for that project, which is basically just like an image for the Kanban board. So you can see here. You can have a description in a rich text field, so you can see everything regarding that project. It's the scope of the project, the briefing. You have a files field for attachments. You have owners for that specific project, and you have a status. Also, you can set that project as a favorite or not, and you can see here that on the Kanban board, one of the cards is purple. So basically what's happening here is that if I set a card as favorite, so let's change this one, launch new website. So favorite, let's save. So it's going to have conditional color, right? So if it's a favorite, it's going to rise to the top and be painted as purple. And then you have the roadmap or milestones. I'm going to rename it as milestones so it's a little bit more clear. But this is the milestones table. So milestones are basically, they have a title, they have a project that they're related to. So you can see here that office design is related to the reallocating to new office project. You have a number field for the weight of that specific milestone. You have a to-do list, which is basically just an edit step-by-step or like subtests for that specific milestones. You have the status, and then you have like the start and end date for that milestone, which you can basically see here. It's going to feed the Gantt view. And then you have owners for that specific milestone. So for a project, maybe you have an owner for the project, but for that specific milestones, it's different people that are going to look into that. Okay, So you can see here that the milestones, they're related to a project. So you can see here this field. So if I take this, for example, design and development, they're related to the project launch new website. So if I go back to the table of projects, you can see here launch new website, and you can see that I have these two fields, progress and milestones, and basically they're getting their information from the milestones or roadmap table. So you can see here that I have two milestones for the launch new website project. And I have the first one, design development, is weight 4, and testing and quality assurance is weight 3. So 7 in total. And you can see here that design and development is already done. So if I see here, it's progress 4 because design and development had weight 4 and was already done. And I have milestones 7, which is basically the sum of all the weights for all the milestones. Okay. So this is basically how it's calculating the progress. And then we have a goal field just to have something visual here for you guys to see. So if I have a progress of 4 and a total milestone count of 7, I have like around 57% of the project done. Of course, this because we only have like 2 milestones, it's going to like fill up very fast. But this is just an example. On a real project, you would probably have more milestones, so this progression would be a little bit smoother. Okay. So how is this calculating the progress and the milestones part? So I'm going to edit this field. I'm going to switch the builder mode on, and you're going to see that this is a roll-up field. So this roll-up field is called progress. It's checking the roadmap table, and it's going to sum everything in the weight field. So this field here. And there's also going to be a filter here. It's just going to sum things that are marked as status is done. And the rollup field, the thing that it does is it's going to search in a different table, in this case roadmap, for records that are connected to the record that you're seeing here. So if I'm seeing launch new website, it's going to search the roadmap table for all records that are related, that are connected to this launch new website record. So this is how it's doing this calculation, this sum. Okay. I can also have like formatting. In this case, I could change the number of decimal places, for example. But it's for this case, it's not. It's probably not going to be very useful. Or maybe it could if you had like very granular weights, like one point like 25 or something like that. So let's change it back to no decimal places. Okay, so this is the structure. So this is how you have projects. You have milestones that are related to that project, and then you have roll-up fields for the progress and completed milestones and all milestones for that project. And then I have a goal field here that's going to check progress against milestones and give it back to me as a percentage. So it's pretty standard. We have other live streams in which we've used this field before. So now we're going to build the app, right? So the app is mainly comprised of two things. It's a Kanban board, and then there's the project hub, which shows you information for a specific project on the left, and on the right, you have all the milestones as a Gantt view. So let's start by building a new app page for the project board, and I'm going to name it live as well, just so it's a little bit easier to find it later. And we're going to give it an icon, so when it's in the app, it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to build, and the project is going to have this icon. Okay. So what we need here is a Kanban board. So I'm just going to click on Smart Kanban either here or on the builder panel here. And this is going to create a block for me. It's going to have example information. So this is all information that it's fairly useless now, but we're going to change it. So it's just for viewing purposes. So this is my Kanban board. This is the settings. So this Kanban board is going to see information from where? Where is this Kanban board pulling information from? So it's pulling information from the projects table, which is the one that I've showed you guys before. And for the columns, it's going to be status, right? So you can see here that it already pulled information, and we have the 3 projects that we already had on the table. Okay, so now we have to select the fields that are going to be appearing on the Kanban card, like the front part. So if I change it here, you guys are going to understand a little bit better. So I can pull the cover. So I bring the cover back to the Kanban card. And I can also have things like the owner and the button for adding a new milestone. Okay, so, okay. Um, right. So one thing that is kind of cool, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that they can do it on the Kanban board, on the smart Kanban, is that you can sort by different variables. The standard one is when the record was created. So the things that were created uh, last are going to be up, and things created first are going to be down. But you can change that order. But you can also sort by different variables here. So if, for example, I sort by favorites, and I click here on save, as soon as a project I assign it as favorite, it's going to rise to the top, right? So you can set it in a way that if you want something to be more important or more urgent, you can just sort by favorite, and it's going to rise to the top of the view. And one other thing that we can do now is add conditional colors, right? So I can do the same thing and add a conditional color. It's going to be, we don't know, yellow. And they're only going to be painted yellow if favorite is true, if I checked something as favorite. And you can already see here that it painted some that I know are favorite already. One thing that I think I did wrong, yeah, here you go. Favorite should be descending, because if you click on something and it's a favorite, it's going to be 1, and if it's not checked, it's 0. So if I sort by favorite and put it as descending, things that are favorite are going to rise to the top. And you can see that it already did it. Okay. So if I click on save, we already have the Kanban board. But one thing that's not as good as it could be is that if I click on a card, it's going to open the standard panel, the standard window inside Gesture. And it's okay for some purposes. You can see here the current bar and so on. It works, but you can also customize this interface through superforms. So superforms are the way that you can customize the way that a record opens, the way that I input information, update information, and so on. So this is what we're going to be doing now. Let's add a new page, a new app page. And on this app page, I'm going to create all the superforms that I need for this template, right? So I'm going to add an icon here. And now I'm going to create a superform. There you go. So it created the superform for me with example information once again. So I'm going to call this new project. I'm going to remove the logo and the cover. You could have it if you wanted to. And this superform is going to create a record in the projects table. So I'm going to search for the projects table and select it. Okay, so now I have to select the fields that are going to be visible on present on the superform. So When you're creating a new project, I want for people to add a title. They're going to add a cover. So let's rearrange this. They're going to add a description. They may set it as a favorite. Let's see here. Add attachments and owners. Okay, and one final thing that I'm going to do is add status, but you guys are going to see what I'm going to do with this field. Okay, let's customize the interface here a little bit. Okay, so let's get the favorite and put it up top. Let's search for owners and put it right next to title. And then we're going to get a form block of inline so we can have some fields next to each other, right? So for example, cover, title, and owners, I'm going to put them between the inline blocks and it's going to do this, right? Okay, description, attachments, I'm going to leave it as it is. And now I'm going to edit the status field. They have this appearance here, but I don't want people to create a project and put it as done, right? I want every time that I create a project, I want it to go straight to plan. So what I'm going to do is define a predefined value of planned. And if I click here on save, you're going to see that it's pre-selected as planned here. And now what I'm going to do is hide the field. So when I hide this field, what's going to happen is that the person filling the form is not going to have access to the field, but it's going to send the information anyway. So it's going to send the record as planned. Okay, let's see here. We could add more stuff, or we could customize it further, like add sections or pages or text and so on. But we're going to leave it as this for now. I'm going to disable responses. I don't want people to receive a copy of the responses. And just change the title background back to white. Okay, so let's click on save. Super forms projects. Okay, so I created a super form for creating new projects. And now I want a new super form for when I click on a project, I want to see the information. So I'm just going to copy this this block, just clone this block. It's going to create it down here. Just going to rearrange it. Now I'm going to edit it. And I'm going to call this project information. And it's going to have almost the same information, right? One thing that I'm going to do is add the button that I have on the table for adding new milestones. I'm going to put it all the way up to the top. Here you go. And I'm going to change its appearance so it's full width. So click on save. There you go. So it's going to appear as this. Okay. Do I have any more other field? Yeah. I'm going to show progress and milestones. So when the person clicks on the card, they're going to be able to see the progress and things that they still have to do. And this is also going to be inline. So let's change this. There you go. Okay, so if I leave it as it is, this is going to still be a form for creating new cards, right? New projects. And that's not what I want this form to be. I want this form to be the thing that I use, the interface that I use whenever I click on a card on the Kanban board. So I'm going to activate update record for this form. And what this does is it updates information from a specific record. So you can see here that I can select one of the records that I have on the projects table. For example, a symbol compliance team, and it's going to pull information from that record. You can see here that I have a progress of 3, milestones is 8, I have the description, and so on. Okay, so we have the super forms. Let's go back to the project board. And now I'm going to edit the Kanban board. So we can go down here and see record creation form and record update forms. So those are the panels, the windows that are going to be used to create and update the records. So for creation, I'm going to disable the standard panel and search for the forms that I've just created, which are on the Superforms projects. And for creation, I'm going to get the new project Superform. And for update, I'm going to disable the standard panel as well. I'm going to search for the Superform that I've just created, and we're going to use the project information Superform. And when I open it, it's going to open as a center card, and we're also going to be able to see the chat and use the comment section. So let's click on save. And now if I click here on plans, it's the standard form, it's the super form, it's not the standard form. And if I click on one of the cards, it's using the super form instead of the standard panel. I can use the chat and so on. So this is working just as intended. A few adjustments now. I'm going to create a title bar. And we're also going to have a button to create a new project here. So the title bar is going to be like this dark blue color. It's going to create a new project. The button is going to be white. The label is new project. And I'm going to disable the standard panel and get the forms that I've just created here. It's going to be a big center card. And let's click on save. There you go. So if I click here on new project, it's using the form. Good. So now this is the main part. The second part was having a project hub. So on the left part of the screen, I want information from a specific project. And on the right side of the screen, I want information regarding the milestones through a Gantt view. So I'm going to click here on new app. And I'm going to create a new superform. So now I'm going to use the superform as the interface for the project. And you guys are going to see how this works in a minute. So we've created a new form. And we're going to put it here on the left side of the screen. And now we're going to edit it. And let's see. It's going to be project information. Going to remove the logo, the cover, and it's going to get information from the projects. So the information is going to be title. Let's see the cover, the owners, description, attachments. We're also going to have the new milestone button down here, and we should be able to see the status as well. We're going to change all of this. Okay, so let's just customize some aesthetic stuff. So here's the cover, title, owners, description, attachments, new milestones. I want it to be right here on the top. I'm going to change it to full white. There you go. And the status, I'm going to change it as well, so I don't see here as tags. Maybe I want to see as buttons, for example, and it's going to show me where it is as a button view. Okay. So one thing that I have to do here is you guys can see that this is a form for creating new projects. I don't want it to be. I want it to be a form for seeing information from a record that already exists. So what I'm going to do here is set it as update record. Okay. I click here on save and then select here. It's going to pull the information. But I'm not going to do it in a way that I have to select straight through the form here. I'm going to do it as we did here through a filter. So if I select up here one of the projects, it's going to filter on the left and it's going to filter here on the right as well. So what we're going to do here is disable this select box here. So let's edit the super form. And now we're going to toggle this off, okay? Show record selection, we're going to toggle this off. And you guys can see that it disappeared here, the select box for the project. We're going to call this project hub live. And we're going to give it an icon as well. So for the hub, I'm going to go for an eye. There you go. So one thing that's missing here is the Gantt view for all the milestones. So we're going to do that. Gantt view. There you go. So, in case someone is not familiar with the Gantt component or Gantt views, this is the Gantt view. It's basically a way for you to see records, tasks, milestones with the start and end date. So when it's planned for something to happen, right? So I can see like a month calendar and see when specific stuff is supposed to happen. So for example, a project task or a cycle for development, like if you have like agile development from and so on. So let's edit this Gantt view. We're going to call it Gantt, and it's going to pull information from the roadmap table. Here we go. It's going to see the interval date field, which is a date range. It's basically a field that mirrors a two date fields. Okay, and we're going to select a field to give the bars colors. Right, it's going to have the colors by status. And the side table is this part of the Gantt view, which is basically I can get information from the record that's not just the date part, right? So for the milestones, I should be able to see the project, the weight, and the to-do list, right? So let's save for now. And there you go. So you can see here, I have this Gantt view. So if I want to, I can plan, for example, employee relocation. I can click here and like add the bar, right? So here you go. So this is the Gantt view. So the problem that you may be seeing now is that I have no way of selecting the project here on the left because I've disabled the select box. And here it's showing all of the projects, all of the milestones for all of the projects. So what we're going to do here is create a new title bar here as well. Let's give it the same color. I'm not going to have this button for now. Well, maybe I will. So it's going to be used to add new milestones. It's going to be a white button, and I'm going to just set it as it is. There we go. Now I'm going to add a filter. So I'm going to call this filter, and we should be able to select a project, right? So the type of button is going to be a record ID. This allows me to select a card from a specific table. So in this case, I'm going to select a card from the projects table. And as soon as I select it, what I'm going to do is filter the superform, the project information superform. So basically, if I select a project, it's going to pull information from that project from the get-go. And I'm going to filter the Gantt view as well. And it's going to be filtered by project. So let's remove the borders, create. It created the filter down here, but I don't want it to be down here. I want it to be on the title bar. So I'm just going to edit the title bar and select the filter that I've just created. There you go. So here it is. And if I select a different project, it's going to filter the information from using the superform and of the Gantt view. So one final thing before we're done is that if you try to edit the milestones, it's pulling the standard panel. If I try to add a new milestone, it's getting the information from the standard panel. So what we have to do here is just create superforms for those as well, just as we did with the projects. So this is superforms milestones. Okay, so I'm going to create a new superform for new milestone. I'm going to remove logo and cover. And now I'm going to select roadmap, which is the table where the milestones are. And the fields are title, project, wait, to-dos, start, and end. And also owners. So now standard stuff, right? What I'm going to do here is just customize it. For brevity's sake, I'm not going to put them as required, but you could also do that. So I have title project, start, end here. They're inline. So I think that's it. To-dos are going to be way down below, so it's a little bit easier to see. So there you go. And one thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to edit weight and give it a predefined value of 1. So if someone is creating a new milestone, it's always going to be 1, right? So this would be like a simple milestone, which is just going to have the same weight as every other milestone if you don't give it a customized weighted value. Okay.
It's important because you can
So
forget. Then it's just it will be basically 0, and it will not show there on your calculation, right?
exactly. So let's click on save. There you go. So this is the form that we're going to use to create new milestones. I'm going to clone it. We're nearly done here. And I'm going to use this form to update the milestone. So it's going to be literally the same form, but it's going to be a update record form. So now we can use it to customize the project hub. So now I'm going to edit the Gantt view and record creation form. I'm going to disable the standard panel and get the forms that I've just created. So for creating a new milestone, it's going to use the new milestone form, right? And for updating a milestone, it's going to use the update milestone form. And also when updating, I want to be able to see the chat or the comment section of the record. So I'm going to click on save. I'm going to edit the title bar, and I'm also going to customize the record creation form, right? So you may be saying now, do I have to do this for every button or every component or so on? And this is important because in some situations, you may want to have different forms for creation, for updating the same information, right? So it's important to be able to select and to have different forms assigned to different components. So there you go. Let's click on save. There you go. So if I click here to see one of the milestones, it's using the form that I created. And if I clicked on add, it's using the super form as well. Now, all we have to do is bring this all into the same app. So for this one, I'm going to use, instead of the top bar, which I've shown on the example, is this part here. Now I'm going to use the menu bar. You have more than one option to do stuff here. So instead, I'm going to use the menu bar. And here you go. I'm just going to customize it a little bit further. There you go. And the things that you are going to be able to do here is have the project board and the project hub on the left part of the screen. And I can also select the system shortcuts here, right? So let's click on save, and there you go. This is how the end user is going to be using. So you have the Kanban board, you can add a new project. And if you click on the card, it's also using the custom interface. There you go. And if you click here on Project Hub, you can select the project up here, and it's going to filter all the information. And one thing that I forgot to do is we're using weighted milestones, right? So every milestone has a weight. So you may be saying, I don't want that. I want every milestone to have the same weight. This is useless for me. I don't want the trouble of having to add weight and so on. And one thing that I forgot to show you guys is that you can totally just ignore the weights. So I'm going to go back to the projects table. And here on progress and milestones, what I'm going to do here, let's activate filter mode. I'm going to edit this. And instead of using the sum of the weights, I'm just going to use count. So just count the milestones for that specific project, right? And this one as well. So instead of sum, I'm just going to go with count. You have other operations. You have a maximum value, average, and so on. Let's just click on save. Let's update, refresh the screen just to go a little bit faster here. And now you guys can see that instead of having like weighted values, now I just have the number of milestones, right? Number of milestones for this project and number of milestones that I've completed. So it's a lot easier to use because again, maybe you don't have the need for weighted values, right? So you have no way to calculate how many how much is the percentage for a specific milestone. So maybe you just need simple values so you don't have to use the weighted part. It's even easier if you want a simple one. But basically, this is it. Let's go back and see how the template worked out. And basically, this is the template as we've started. And let's go to all apps. Oh, it's not on Project Hub. That's what I'm doing wrong. Let's just look at the project board. And here you go. So if I deactivate Gutenberg, this is the final product. Of course, there's a lot of things that we could do to improve it. Add sections to the menu. We could have buttons to move the card on the Kanban board instead of dragging and dropping. So maybe you want to have this kind of behavior. But the main thing to focus on here is I think that the things that are more interesting about this template is one, having favorites and coloring and sorting by the favorite. So if I open this part here and I deselect favorite, so this is not a favorite anymore, you can see that it's changed. And also, here you go, having the filter changing the superform on the left. So this is basically using superforms as a custom interface to see data. And because Superform has a lot of different customization options, you could maybe do it so it's read-only here on Project Hub, for example. So you will not be able to change the information from here, or it's read-only for the people that are not the owner of the project or something like this. So there's, like I said before, there's a lot of things that you can do to improve this template, but I think the main idea here is to show you guys how the Superform works and how to do this sum of milestones with the rollup field, and it's particularly useful for projects and tasks and milestones and things like that.
Yeah, and the other thing that you could do if you don't want that much complexity as Nakanakari has said, is you can remove stuff. Maybe you don't want to see one of the informations there. Maybe you want something. Your projects are not that complex, so you could use a similar structure, but then change instead of milestone for tasks, and then your tasks will have subtasks because we already created this structure there, and then you can adapt for your own project. We will also add this on our template store. So if you want to just install this to use it or to change it or even to just learn how it works, it will be available there as well. And we will be back next week with another live. So if you guys have another suggestion for a video or for a template, just let us know and we'll bring it here for all of you. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.